Welcome to Wrong Time Watch. My name is Kevin, and in this video we're looking at the Zodiac Super Seawolf Skin Diver and comparing it to the Oris Divers 65. This watch is on loan from Saltzman's Watches, so if you could go check out their website, I'd appreciate it. Also give them a follow on Instagram if you have that. The Oris Divers 65 I bought used some time ago. The MSRP for this watch is somewhere around $2,400. I'm not sure if they make this watch, or at least they don't offer it on bracelet. They offer it on the leather strap, which I also do have, and you can buy the bracelet separately for about $340. The Zodiac Super Seawolf Skin Diver is $1,595. That's the MSRP. I do have a discount code that you can use from Saltzman's for 20% off. So that code is WTWT23. I'll leave that in the description below. So we have a domed sapphire crystal on the Zodiac. And then the Oris, we have a box dome sapphire crystal. Quite a bit of dome to that. It looks very similar to a Hesalite or a plexiglass acrylic crystal, or whatever you want to call it. Those go by many names. Aluminum bezel inserts on both of these watches. The Zodiac is rated to 200 meter water resistance, and the Oris is rated to 100 meter. They both do have signed screw down crowns. This has a rather large crown. And then the Zodiac crown looks maybe a little bit smaller, but that is a signed screw down crown as well. You can see the case on this is all brushed. Top of the bracelet is brushed. Sides are polished. This does have a butterfly clasp right there. And this has a cool trick here where it's kind of spring loaded. So I've never seen that before. I would imagine this watch would be very comfortable on wrist. I can't size the watch. If I do size it, I would be buying the watch from Saltzman's. And that's why there's still a sticker on the case back here. So I would imagine this watch would be very comfortable on wrist with this 5-link bracelet. Very small links too. You can get it sized down to your wrist very well. And then again, you do have this spring expansion. Doesn't feel like much pressure to get those springs to activate there, so very cool design. And then the links look to be sized or held in place with a pin and collar system. They're not split pins and they're not screws, so I'm going to say it's a pin and collar. The Oris also does have a pin and collar system, and I did size this bracelet, and not a big deal to size this bracelet. It's a pretty simple pin and collar system. Some of them are pretty difficult, but this one was nice and easy. So you can see we do have a stamped clasp here with dual pushers, 5 micro adjust holes, no dive extension, which is totally fine with me. It's a skin diver. I don't think you'd be wearing a wetsuit. Well, yeah, skin diving, right? So no wetsuit. I'm not a diver, in case you don't know. Does have the riveted style bracelet that kind of stair steps down, just like my Tudor Black Bay 58. Again, solid links, solid end links, and then this has a female end link here. So even though it's a larger watch, it still wears comfortably on my wrist, but I still think it's a little bit big for my wrist. I prefer this here. This is a 39 millimeter diameter. This one's 46. They do offer this in, I believe, 38, 40, and this is 42. So again, aluminum bezel insert for both of these. Alright, so on to the movement. The Oris has the Oris 733 movement, which is based on the SW200-1. Automatic movement, 38 hours power reserve, plus or minus 20 seconds for accuracy. Looking at the case, it's polished on the sides and then brushed on the top. Let me grab another microfiber cloth. So they just get fingerprinted up, being polished cases. And then the bracelet is entirely brushed. The Zodiac has the STP 1-11 automatic movement, which is also based on the ETA 2824. I say also because the SW200-1 is based on the ETA 2824. 44 hours of power reserve. STP is, I think it's Swiss Technology Production, which is owned by Zodiac, and then, I'm sorry, it's owned by Fossil. Fossil owns STP, and Fossil owns Zodiac, so I guess I would call that an in-house movement. And again, plus or minus 20 seconds. Depending on the grade of the movement, so I'm just assuming the accuracy of the lower grade. I'm not sure what grade movement is in either of these watches here. And Oris is an independent brand, so it's kind of nice to support the independent companies. Alright, let's go over the dimensions. 46.4 lug tip to lug tip, 29 millimeter diameter, 12.7 thick, so it's pretty thin. Anything under 13 for a dive watch I'm happy with. 20 millimeter lug width, and it tapers down nicely to 16. 6.5 millimeter signed screw down crown, and with all the links it weighs in at 129 grams. The Oris, looking at 50.6, so a little bit long for my wrist. I have a 52 millimeter wristband, and this really gets close to the edge of my wrist. 42 millimeter diameter, that's at the bezel. The case is a little bit less than that. The Zodiac, yeah, you know, the bezel, so the case is probably 38, the bezel for sure is 39, and then with the Oris, the case I would guess is 41, bezel is for sure 42. That's where I measure the diameter at. Much easier to get the diameter on the bezel. 13.5 thick, so this is a little bit thicker than my preference. I really like them around 12, but this is a little bit thick for me. 13.5, and it does have this screwy lug width, 21 millimeter lug width, and this bracelet doesn't really taper, but each link gets smaller, and then the adjustable links are 15 millimeters wide, so it goes from 21 down to 15. 6.8 millimeter crown, and a size for my 6.5 inch wrist. It weighs in at the same 129 grams. I would guess that's due to the clasp being a stamped clasp. It kind of surprised me that they're the same weight, considering that this has all the links in it. Actually, you know what? This watch is lighter than this one, so my thinking there was backwards. Not sure how that is possible. But it is. The scale doesn't lie. So let me get both of these on wrist, and then we'll close out the video with the Loom. Please like the video. It really helps me out, as well as you subscribing to the channel. So we'll put the bigger one on here first. 6.5 inch wrist, 52 millimeter wristband. This watch, of course, does have a date. Actually, I didn't talk about the dial, so I'll zoom in on each of the dials here after trying them on wrist. I really like this Zodiac Super Seawolf. I think it's a very cool looking watch. Just reminds me, not that I was alive in the 60s or 70s or 50s, 60s, whatever, but I was alive in the 70s, but I wasn't very old then. So anyway, let's get this on wrist. Normally I'm not a fan of butterfly clasp, but with these links being so small, and then with that spring system, I'm sure it's super comfortable on wrist. So there we go. Lugs on this are again 46.4, 39 millimeter diameter. Really good size for my 6.5 inch wrist. I do like that second hand too. I wish the hour hand was a little longer, or maybe a little more wide, but that's kind of the styling. So, all right, let's zoom in on both these dials, and then we'll check out the Loom. So they both have applied indices. This one, I don't know the Loom of either of them off the top of my head, but the Loom on this one's very good. I remember that. Aluminum bezel insert on both of these watches. So we do have 12, 3, 6, and 9, and then each of those triangles are loomed, and then the 3, 6, 9, and 12 are not loomed, so it gives an interesting effect. A Swiss-made watch. Again, 200 meter, water resistant. And I don't know if you could tell, but this does have a green dial. It's very subtle. You can kind of see it there, where the chapter ring is black. So, very cool watch. And then here's the Oris zoomed in. Now this has the gray dial, which is probably one reason why I'll be selling this for two reasons. Number one, it's too big for my preference, and number two, this dial it's not that easy to tell the time with. It takes a little bit longer to kind of find the hands, at least for me. And we do have this Fotina Loom, so be interesting to see how these two compare to each other in the Loom department. And then we do have the date at 3 o'clock. I do like that the Zodiac does not have a date. Alright, let's check out the Loom. Okay, so on the left we have the Zodiac Super Seawolf Skin Diver. Nice Loom on the bezel, hands, indices. The 12, 3, 6, and 9 for sure has great Loom. And then we have the Oris on the right. The handset has nice Loom as well. I would give the Loom to the Zodiac in this case here. It's not quite as bright by eye as what it is on screen, but you know, I wouldn't complain with either of these for Loom, but if Loom is your thing, then I would go with the Zodiac. Alright, that will conclude this video. As always, thank you for your time and thank you for watching.